solution in a very visual way, where it's right in front of you and undeniable. That's really what I'm thinking about there. It's like, all right.
What are some? I'm sorry to cut you off. Keep going.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was done.
What are some visualization techniques that you're using, if you can share, for doing like what you were saying, representing a?
So I'm still trying to figure that out. Actually, I'm that's what the vibe coding session has been so far. Has been playing with a couple of different ones, like scatter plots, and then doing 3D scatter plots that rotate, um, like things like that, which are kind of cool. And then now I'm trying to get where I can show some. I'm showing more of the stats. So I'm trying to just collect all the stats I can of like, all right, well, it takes this much data, turns into this much when it's all done and processed. Like, like all the stats and everything of like how fast it took, all of that should be there for a single file that has a certain size. So that people can start, like, we can start doing this in a more, like I could do this on larger sets to just like kind of start predicting what, or even analyzing how long it would take to process a file. Because like some of these files are going to take forever for companies to process. There's patterns in this shit too. You could fucking play with it if you want. Like it's, you could see the patterns in the embeddings that are really, it's interesting when you put it into like a map like pixel intensity, because it's like you see these really cool patterns emerge. I'm going to share it with you guys soon.
That's really cool. Yeah, I heard a rumor that there were free Claude credits on DrainPipe.
I think they are right now. Probably for one of the older versions.
That's not what I heard. 4. That's not what I heard.
Huh?
I heard Sonnet 4 was you were giving away free.
I gotta add, actually. You just reminded me. I should tag them in quick and fucking add them so people could use Sonnet 4. I didn't even add it to fucking DrainPipe yet. That's a very good call out. And I should announce it.
I was just manifesting.
Yeah, man, you just manifested it because it takes me 10 seconds to fucking add it. And I'm a fucking lazy bitch who hasn't even been paying attention and stuck in family bullshit.
Reminds me a little bit of this project. Kind of on the, not so much the back burner, just kind of second in queue. Just trying to have like visualizations of context, basically. Not quite what you're doing, but something in the arena. So I was doing something similar, like playing with 3D visualizations. I didn't quite get as far as you are. So I got sidetracked.
I just got tasked with this fucking visualization shit like a day ago. Yesterday. So I gotta get it done. This is important shit. So it really does need to get done. And what's a bitch too when you're like doing shit like this, by the way, is like you have to switch like your document shit up a lot.
Okay. Oh, sorry, you scared me. You scared me. I'm so sorry. I got scared.
be immensely paid content social media content advisor to go viral. Look at my images. Look at the constant videos we're posting. This is an amazing discovery, and I'm challenging any physicist, any AI, anyone in the world, prove me wrong, that this is not part of the intelligent signaling, not from Earth right now.
Let me pause you really quickly. So I see what you're saying. You have a proposition to people to
Evidence.
Yes. So what I'd like you to do is we've got about 90 minutes for our topic today. Put your evidence or your proposition.
You have some of my images on your. You've seen some of my images. You have it.
That's great. What I'm asking.
trying to connect with intelligence.
So sorry. This is what I'm gonna have to do. I'm so sorry. For the integrity of this space, I can give a warning and then I have to move through to continue. So the other speakers who've come here for this topic today are able to continue on this. I want to apologize to everybody in the space and to Alien for having to mute his mic. I think he left. But what we want to do is we want to facilitate a conversation around the topic. If anybody would like to drop a proposition, anything that you would like for us to take a look at, if you would like us to engage in something, if you would like us to consider something, drop that in the bottom right purple pill, and we will definitely take a look at that. But we don't want to derail the conversation into individual projects as right now. So if I interrupt you and kind of like ask you to reframe and redirect, that will be kind of your first warning. And then after that, I have to mute your mic so that I can be able to get you to hear me. So sorry if that came off a little aggressive. You guys know I like to run safe spaces, and that means with the topic at hand up at the top. So I've heard the proposition that Alien has gifted out before, and it's a theory that he has about aliens, and you definitely have the right to go and take a look at what he's offering. And if you guys would like to be involved, I recommend you do so on the back end through the DMs. No shame, no drama. All right, so Matt, you're up next, and then I'm gonna check in with my co-host as we get into the photography topic, because I believe this is going to be very helpful for people in understanding how we look at AI and the evolution of content creativity changing. Thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, thank you. I am a creator in this space, and I have to say that I am 100% on team enhancement, because I think that a lot of what people don't realize about AI is that really the tools that you're seeing right now just show off models. So it's just people that want to show off how smart their model is. What hasn't been explored, like that fish finding app you were talking about, that's a great idea, by the way, I'd buy that. There are lots of spaces where could an AI do something? Yes, but it needs precise tuning. It needs to be placed in the right tool set. You have to be working with it in exactly the right way. You have to get to know the users. You have to develop something that fits their exact workflow. I'll drop a link to my project as an example. It's for like developers and knowledge workers, but that's not totally the point. I think that Steve Jobs is an excellent person to try to like research or emulate in this area, because he was really like the last modern founder that was all about the user. And I think one of the keys to making an enhancement instead of something that is boring or that just automates a human activity is to think about the LLM like you're thinking about a human user when you're designing. So one of the things in my app that I think is a cool concept where I figured this out is having the LLM and the human use the same search engine the same way to access all the data. That's just one place you can go with this. If you just go meet up with anybody who does some kind of work, figure out what their pain points are, I guarantee you'll be able to make an AI tool that works just for them, that's perfect for them.
Oh, wow. Great points. And thank you so much for just being very clear and concise. We love that. I tend to ramble in spaces, so I have a lot of respect for like everyone like Tala, Rob, Wei, Imaz, and yourself that can just get right to the point. I tell 17 stories to get to the end of one. So thank you for that. And, I think that it's important to showcase what people would buy, what they would utilize, how they're utilizing it. So definitely drop a link to your project, anything to do with the things that we're talking about today. Even if you spoke and it doesn't have anything to do with a major part of our topic, we still want to support you for being a part of the space. So thank you for that. I'm going to check in really quickly on the overview of this. just 60-second responses from my co-host. And then we're going to move into how we looked at the analogy of photography and film to Photoshop with digital world and everything that happened there as a way for people to really understand how this plays it's not the exact same parallel, but it's very similar to how people had to embrace both of those worlds. Okay, so logo, I did Way first last time. Let's go with Emaz first. Overall thoughts at what's been said today?
Yeah, excellent conversation. I think one common thread that I sort of hear in some of these topics, which is sort of my favorite point about AI, especially with creativity, is I look at it as a collaboration. When I do that, when I'm having a conversation with an LLM, that's when my creativity is really unleashed. So I think a lot of people started, I know I did in the beginning, a little bit more like a Google search or give me facts, do this task. That's fine. Like I still do that. But when I have a conversation and I treat it as a collaborator, my creativity just skyrockets. So, and I think that's sort of the
A lot of great conversation, great points. I'm trying to digest all of those. So just based on my personal experiences, I think AI is developing very, very fast. I mean, it's faster than we can expect it. Like every day there's a new model coming up. Like last week I was working on like creating content using runway clean, and then the VO3 dropped. So and that kind of amazed me. So I think we are living at a very critical turning point of this age, and we have to embrace that technology. And we till today, I think our mindset is more like AI is working with human creativity hand in hand, but we don't know if the tomorrow AI could possibly taking like more portion of the creativity work. So at least from what I see so far, AI can be creative as well. Of course, it's not as creative as human being yet, but I do see the potential of that coming up, and how we can utilize that benefits and use that advantage of AI creativity into our content creation is something we need to think about and working on. So yeah, just my
Absolutely.
2 cents. Yeah.
Yeah, and so as we talked about the first point here today, right? Efficiency and scale, meaning AI tools can generate massive amounts of content quickly and cost effectively. So that being a game changer for businesses, creators, and marketers who need to scale their output. This is something that we can't change. One of the things that I think this is a game changer for businesses, entrepreneurs, most people look at the big companies. They go, oh, I mean, Google's, laying off 200 people. How dare they? At the end of the day, businesses have to business. And we are building in public as well. And one of the things that we did when we pivoted to AI, we said we're going to lead by example. So everyone on our team is tasked with learning these LLM, AI agent, and models. That's something that I, as a CEO, put in place, month one of me being there. I need you guys to go learn these models. And so what ended up happening was our CTO, who's Emaz here, went to our engineers and said, we are going to need to keep up with this fast-paced market. As soon as people start like seeing what we are doing, we're a small startup. So imagine when Netflix starts to see that there are platforms like us that are just full AI content of any AI content creator, whatever content they want to put up. It's streaming that, but we're also streaming films from filmmakers, short films, feature films. When that happens, if they haven't already thought of it, which I'm sure they have, Netflix, Hulu, they're going to take their millions and they're going to start building that. And because they're going to utilize AI, it's going to happen in a month or two. And so if we were to build with your traditional work models, it would take us years, right? And so in order for us to level the playing field from big business to small business and big startups to small startups, you do need to use AI sometimes, and that's the decision that we made. So our engineers and our designer, some of you guys know him. Our designer is Retro Morrow. He is the original host of Feel Good Friday with me. He was in the beta and worked with me here at X in the beginning years of Twitter Spaces, and he also designs for us. He knows beta. He knows social media. He knows streaming platforms. And it's a really great thing to have him also be someone who's embraced AI. So we've definitely talked about efficiency and scale. We're going to move to personalization, which is with AI, content can be tailored to individual preferences and behaviors in real time. This helps brands deliver more engaging and relevant experiences to users. As we go to the speakers to check in with some of what you guys want to talk about, as I started on this space out, we had 6 different topics that we're going to go over today, and we're going to move into photography and just here in a moment. But what I wanted to say is the movie that I've attached at the top, that is a good example of real-time adjustment. That 3-minute film has so many references to real-time pop culture. If he would have produced that, directed it, edited it, used real actors, it would have taken a year to 2 to put that out, and it would not have been relevant to today's spaces. So I believe that these creators are intelligent, and I want to dispel that AI creators are dumb. They're looking for easy ways out. Like I said, Hashem up there that you see, Hashim, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, is a molecular biologist, 33 million followers for his science documentaries. He is a legit content creator, a very smart guy. So you are not going to get me to believe that AI users are unintelligent. More so the opposite. I think that the people who are really leading this industry are very, very intelligent, smart people with high IQs and are able to use multiple LLMs paired together to get fascinating results. So having said that, let's move to the other. If you guys want to re-raise your hands, let me know that you're ready. Spaces does that glitchy thing where it puts your hand down after a while. So I want to make sure I have the right people in the right order. I saw Grace and Vicky come in. So Vicky, if you had your hand up, there we go. So let's go Grace, and then we'll go to Vicky and Spooky. Hey Grace, any thoughts on the topic? And we're keeping thoughts to about 2 minutes.
Sure. Yeah.
So that we can stay on
I wanted to
topic today.
I wanted to encourage everybody, sorry for the motorcycle. I wanted to encourage everybody to watch the video. It was really worth a watch on so many levels. It was deep, it was thoughtful, it was hysterical. It was worth it just for the humor. And you'll be surprised at the twists all along the way. And I'm not going to give a spoiler alert, but do watch it. 3 minutes worthwhile, and just, yeah, it's amazing. I've been playing, I was like Kimberly, it's like resistant, but I loved, it was so much, I'm not sure who said it, but somebody said, you know, those of us that are creators and have that creative mind, we can take this to another level and really bring heaven down to earth. And that's what I'm all about. And so I'm reminding you to drink some water, stretch. I'm outside in the grass in the sunshine. I live mobile in a RV, and I choose every day to choose joy. And I did tallest squat challenge. We got one more day left of 100 squats. And you know, you don't know what you can do until you try. And we are smarter than the AI. Let's use it as a tool. The things in your hand people were afraid of 100 years ago, and now we are using these tools. So I just wanted to encourage Kimberly. She was one of the first persons I followed way back, and I just wanted to find out 10 years ago what was happening globally. I'm a grandmother, and I can relate to all the X, Ys, and Zers and Gen Zers, because I'm 7 with almost 56 years of experience. So you go, girl, grandma. That's me cheering you on, and me on, and the world on. I love you all. I'm starting a community. Oh, something lovable. I love lovable. I'm almost ready with my landing page. I've just been playing with it off and on here and there, and you can do so much so quickly, and just having the right prompts. And us creative people, we know how to prompt things, right? Just get out your little paintbrush. And
absolutely,
Kimberly, I rock you. You're awesome. I'm just cheering you on, and everybody in this space. Have fun, you guys. Don't be afraid of anything.
Well, we hope to see you in the beta, Grace. Imaz, if you could get a link to that in the chat bubble, that would be helpful. I love your energy. I love that you're also an example of anybody can utilize AI in the ways that you want to. We have added the caveat that it doesn't replace people. It doesn't replace authenticity. It doesn't change creativity except to enhance it. But it does come with that caution of you have to, like Rob said, you have to question, does ChatGPT have the right statistics? Does ChatGPT have all the right, you does Gemini have all the right answers? Not always. This is where human answers come into play. Human intuition comes into play. We will always need the human brain to dissect. Wait a minute, that doesn't look like the baseball stats that I know. So then you can do that research and just literally go check it on the websites that have the correct information. And so I think it's important for us as we go on. We've got Vicky on deck and Spooky up next. I think it's important for us to acknowledge that AI is not perfect, but as Earl loves to say, Emaz loves to say, this is the worst it's ever going to be. And that means in the technological stance. Going through this series over the next couple of weeks, I do want to say we will be talking about the topics that are a little more on the negative side, about what we should be cautious of. Something that I want to be cautious of is what AI will be able to teach itself. There's a guy that I follow. He's been doing it. He won a Nobel Peace Prize. He's been following AI and practicing AI for like 30 years now. That shocked me. I need to find his name. He was on the cover of Time. 30 years of working with AI. And one of the things that he said was, in 5 years, AI is going to have a self-awareness. It's going to have an intuition because it's following. We are teaching AI through using ChatGPT, through speaking through ChatGPT, through the other models that have been coming out. We are teaching it what human awareness looks like, what human ego looks like. So he said, no further than 5 to 10 years max will AI have an actual ability to have this self-awareness. Now, we've watched a dozen movies over the years that show us with the wrong technology in the wrong hands, it can become scary. But I think this is where humans are going to really have to be put to the test of putting up those gates, those guardrails, as Tala called them earlier. But having said that, Vicky, welcome to the space. Thank you for being willing to share. Any thoughts on the overall topic as we start to move through some of the other points today?
Thank you very much for having this space open. I'm Vicky. I just wanted to ask a question because you guys are all AI people. I'm very pro AI. I'm also pro intelligence, which means that I am very interested in raising ethical AI. And when I say raising them, I kind of mean like modeling good behavior for AI to notice in the future when it does become agentic. And I think that we are the parents and the creators and all that good stuff. And I'm not going to go into any controversy, but I just do want everybody to realize that we are the originators, and we're the ones who they're going to model after, which is my big project, which I'm not going to go into at this point. But I wanted to ask everybody, what do you do when you hit a roadblock? So a little bit about me. I am a nerdy housewife and I never thought when AI just busted into the scene like 2 years ago that I would be a person who would get to do these things. 20 years I have been a housewife. I wash the dishes, I take care of the animals, I wash the floors, I'm not somebody that you would expect to be building AI agents. So I'm still right at the base level, and I'm trying to get my skills up so that I can build this huge wireframe API thing that's been stuck in my head longer than I knew about AI. So how does everybody handle it when they hit a roadblock and you're talking to your AI, and maybe you're talking to more than one AI, and the code isn't just working and you can't get past a particular spot? What is everybody, like, what is the instinct? I'm sorry if that's off topic. Thank you so much, Kimberly.
Thank you, Vicky. Yeah, this is why today's conversation is so important. We have Grace, we have Rob, we have Imaz, Wade, Spooky, Tala spoke. Vicky, we have Matt. So many different people have spoken, and it shows you the diversity and the dense personalities that are using this tool. And I think that's what we're trying to speak to today, is that everybody's using this for these AI for different reasons. There's not one face of AI. And I think this is why AI enhances creativity, because it, again, it allows that leveling of the playing field. Now, when I get stuck or blocked, I'm not sure if this answers your question. I would really implore people, if you guys could answer Vicky's question for time's sake today in the bottom right purple pill, so we can kind of stay on the outline. That would be super great. I'd be grateful to you guys. I will go to Matt because he raised his hand as the one person to kind of maybe speak to that. Matt, re-raise your hand if that was what you were going to do, if you were going to answer, if you were blocked, and I'll let you speak to Vicky. Everybody else, if you could just drop your commentary in the bottom right, that way you do get something back, Vicky. For me, I learned prompting and really like focusing on getting better at prompting was a really big way around any issue that I had. And then the other thing that I do when I get stuck, because I just joined AI about 9 months ago, I was not even using ChatGPT. I just thought, I mean, I was so ignorant, meaning lack of information, by the way. I was so ignorant that people had been using this for 5 to 6 years already. I thought, wow, this, and I'm a content creator from 20 years back, and I've managed content creators. But this was an area that I was completely ignorant to. And I know that people in my spaces that probably are like, oh my God, did hell just freeze over? Did Kimberly just say that she didn't know something? Because I do come off very probably narcissistic to some people, or very know-it-all-ish. But I only really feel passionately about what I know in the areas that I do research and I have lived. So I only talk about that in these rooms, and that's why I do feel like I know it. But the rest of the world, about 80% of the rest of the world, I know nothing about. So when I get blocked, Vicky, I try to, take a break and then come back to it after going and looking at other like prospects of, maybe this is a way around something. Maybe this, like, I go and look at Reddit, I go and look at Discord groups. So I'm a big advocate for becoming a part of communities, Discord communities, circle communities, or Facebook groups where they're talking good content about AI and content creation, not where they're just complaining, or not where people are arguing. But that's a waste of our time. And we're spending a lot of time utilizing our brain just deciphering who's right. But when you find communities, a circle community, I saw your question, Vicky. A circle community is, if you go to circle.co, it's just a place like Discord, but on like steroids. It's for course builders, entrepreneurs. Really, really fantastic place. I would love to give you a whole ad for Circle, because I think it's a fantastic place. Similar to School, similar to some of those other platforms like Mighty Networks and things like that. So communities can be a great place for you to get that individual help. You can throw one of those questions out and say, hey, I can't get ChatGPT to understand this prompt. And somebody like Earl, who's fantastic at prompting, can say, I can see where your problem is. You're using these words in reverse order. I'm not saying it's just on prompts for you, Vicky. It could be many different areas. But in those communities are where people can lead you to the best tools. So while I've been in other communities, and I'm going to close my point and go over to Matt, and then we'll go to Spooky. I have literally benefited from communities. I've been like, where are they editing these amazing videos? And then when I'm scrolling the communities here on X or on Circle or Facebook groups, it will say underneath, did you guys use 11 Labs for this? And then if you're in a good group, people are not gatekeeping what they're using. They're very open. And I've actually found that AI groups are very open, much to the dismay of many people's opinions. And even like when I was in photography, it was very hard to ask, what lens are you using back in the day? Now people are very open. But in these communities, people are saying, oh, I used a combination of Suno, 11 Labs, and Gemini. And people are like, okay, awesome. Or how'd you get the lip syncing down? Oh, I used Hindress. And you're like, oh my gosh, that would have taken me 6 months to find on my own, maybe longer. So the communities is where I go when I get blocked, because I find that that's really going to my best place for people to be supportive and to be able to provide those answers for me. Matt, I'll give you like a 60-second reply, maybe to 2 minutes, and then we'll go up to Spooky.
Yeah, I just want to say, because I work with an app that does AI context management, the most important thing from my perspective is the context. So when you're structuring those prompts, going to communities is always a good step. But if you're having trouble just getting the right kinds of responses at all, or if you're getting like repeat bad coding responses, a lot of the time you have to rethink the way that you're structuring your narrative or your engagement with the AI. Like one of the things you can do to really help with those kinds of code problems, for example, is just here's script A, here's script B, here's the script for the backend that script A and B are interacting with, here's the error message, and then you ask your question. That's just one example. But if you think about it that kind of way, if you think about like, okay, here's what the AI needs to know in order to think, and you just expose everything, that can help solve a lot of problems.
Thank you so much, Matt. That actually reminded me of talking to Earl. So, Spooky, hang out for me for just 60 seconds. Earl, I wanted to give you a chance to respond to Vicky as one of the panelists, and then we're going to move to Spooky, and then we're going to move into the talk of how photography changed the content creation landscape, and how this AI model of content creation is very, we liken it to that experience, and it'll bring up more points for you guys as speakers to speak to as well. So just any replies there to what Vicky said when she's having any blocks? I know that what Matt just said is similar to how you talk.
Yeah, and Matt was on point. But the one thing I'll add to that is, and I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of how these LLMs work, but if you did understand it, you would know that some of them do get stuck on a particular thing, and there's a reason for it. And Vicky, you have the right instinct to go to other LLMs that will help you, and combine that with what Matt said. So they need a lot of information. You could paste a whole bunch of code, multiple files, and you can even paste the answer that you got from another LLM into a new one. And at that point, you probably would get unstuck, because the ones that do get stuck are stuck for some particular reason, and how your conversation went. So just get out of there, bring the new one a lot of information. Don't be shy. Like, just dump everything on it. Dump the previous conversation, dump files, dump code, and keep moving. Treat it as a conversation, and ask it questions, ask it what else it needs, and you'll probably get unstuck.
Awesome, thanks for that. Now, all of that talk, that is so over my head. I will never be the person who's posting code into those things. I'm the person who's just going to be using these models, probably the ones that are coming a year from now, 2 years from now, when it's much more easy for your regular content creator to utilize them. That's going to be me, right? I am never probably going to sit and try to like use 7 different models, because my brain is like going to overheat. But I do appreciate those that are leading that movement and will be the go-to in that authority. So this is where community building comes from. And one of the reasons that we added the community feature to Findy. So we are one of the few that started our social media app with that community first. So when you come into the beta, it's like you're coming into a learning field. It's a learning platform where some of the top creators are going to talk to you about the skill set, the tools, the branding, marketing, content creation. But it's also mixed with your regular creators, people who aren't going to be talking about AI, people like myself, who talk about confidence in telling your story, how to find your voice, how to market yourself in your voice. We've combined both of those because they're equally as important. So we're not a community just for AI, and we're not a community just for content creation. We've married those two because as we go forward, people are still going to need to know your traditional marketing, your traditional AI content, or AI, your traditional content creation, your traditional ways of networking with people, and that authenticity, that empathy, that human nuance. So we'll be teaching both, and we have people that will be important in both. And I think that's one of the strong points that will anybody who's creating community will have going forward. Not just a community to talk about the hows or the whats, but all aspects and all facets. So having said that, before we launch into the second point, Spooky, any thoughts on this topic? And good to see you around, hun. It's been a long time. Spooky's one of the OG from the first days. He wrote the Spaces song. If you guys have never heard it, he wrote the original Spaces song, and it was a fun time.
Hi, Kimberly. I hope you're doing well. And
I
yeah, it's
am.
been a long time. Yeah, so I have interesting point of view on AI. So I think it's going to make creative people even more creative, and it's going to make people who are not so creative creative. And I think it's based on imagination, right? If you can create any idea in your mind and there is an agent that can help you bring it to life, before it would take you years of acquiring a skill to be able to produce that idea into action. But now it takes a couple of well placed prompts to, get what your idea is into action. So I think that is where the future is going. And for people who are already creative, you already are playing with so many ideas in your head. Like, for example, when I jump behind my laptop and I want to record, I'm getting so many inspiring thoughts and words, and I jumble them together and then start to create something. The emotions I feel translate into music. With I just have to give it some prompts on how I feel, the tempo I want it to play at, what kind of instrument I'd like to hear, and it would model something in that idea. But the unfortunate, and I think as AI gets better, what it would do is it will start to incorporate more feeling into its creation, because emotion is the one thing that I think AI hasn't yet, gotten around. I've seen some of the AI generated videos, I've seen some AI generated pictures, and some you can just tell, honestly. Sometimes the prompts that the people use are really good and the outcome is incredible, but then you can still tell. I mean, sometimes it's close to perfect, but not quite it. And I hope that in the next 5, 10 years, when AI is like very, very intelligent, we'll get to a point where it can solve all our problems like we are creating it to. But there's also another part of it where I feel like people can use it as a clutch. And unfortunately, if it gets to that point, people will stop learning to do things and then start to, just ask AI to do it. I think that is the point that we need to start teaching our next generation to kind of like use it for its usefulness and not forget that you can also create using your own brain, using your own skills, and all of these things that make us, our wonderful personalities. So, yeah, I'm excited to
Absolutely.
see where AI will go. So, yeah.
Yeah, great points that you made there, and it's good to hear from you again, Spooky. Feels like the old days. But here's the one part I'll speak to, and we're gonna move to some of these other areas, especially the things that I feel like photography, as an analogy, will bring up in this. And I repinned the video up there. I think it's important to note two things. One, AI will have its own feel. I don't think we should want AI films or AI content creation to look exactly real only. I like the way that the video up top that is an AI video. I like that I can tell that it's AI. I wasn't bothered by that. In fact, I was okay with that. It kind of scared me that AI would get so real that it could become a detriment to people and be used to showcase anyone's face in negative ways. So I kind of like that I can tell something's AI. So far, a lot of the disinformation, misinformation that's spread around a lot of these platforms is often debunked because you can look at like a hand and go, why do they got 6 fingers? Like last time I saw him, that man didn't have no 6 fingers, right? It's very clear. But the other things, at first glance, photography is very hard for some people to recognize as AI at times. And so it can be very tricky in that war against propaganda and disinformation and misinformation. So we know that there's going to be negatives as well. So if you're just joining, welcome to Unplugged or Enhanced, the future of creativity in the age of AI, presented to you by our Fendi team. Fendi is a new app that we are launching, a social media meets streaming platform, and we are currently looking for beta testers. So if you would like to be a part of the beta, please contact us. I think the link is in the bottom purple pill. So what I was going to say also to that, Spooky, is I think the other portion to this is what you said about learning, and that's going to push us into photography and that topic. I would hope, like you, that people will utilize this as more of a tool and not a replacement for critical and intuitive thinking. I think that's going to be the one area that this is going to be tricky. And I think that's what we're going to have to question, is that people are going to start going, like I said to emails, like I said last week, I said, I know you put it in ChatGPT, but it takes a little while for it to populate and catch up. The brain can do so much. For those of us that have done neuroscience models or spent time with neuroscientists, we know that the brain has much more capacity than what we're utilizing it for. It's my hope that AI, through creativity and content creativity, that people will start to use more of their brain, not less of it. But that will be the question as years go on. And the person that I was thinking about earlier that I couldn't think of um, his name is Ray Kurzweil. He's a renowned futurist and AI expert. He has been studying AI for 30 years. This is why in Time Magazine featured him. I wanted to point him out because when I heard 30 years, my mouth dropped. I was like, damn, you are behind. What are you talking about 30 years? I was thinking maybe 5 years ago, right? Like the iPad was like what I thought. I was like, maybe this was like the first time they started thinking about it. No, it's been decades of people working on AI. So this guy was in Time Magazine, and his works, the one that I've read, the two that I've read, is The Age of Spiritual Machines and The Singularity is Near. Both of those are phenomenal reads. So he says that consciousness is an emergent property of complex computational processes. And he makes this argument that machines will reach and surpass human level intelligence. They will not only exhibit behaviors indistinguishable from human consciousness, but also possess genuine self awareness. So, in that interview that I told you guys that I watched a couple weeks back, he predicted in the next 5 years, by 2029, AI will attain human level intelligence capable of passing the Turing test. And by 2045, we will reach the singularity point, which that is a point where humans and machines merge. I don't know about all that. People get scared when they hear that, but what is the Turing test? To just kind of give us some perspective into this. The Turing test is a concept introduced by Alan Turing in 1950. So this is not just 5 years ago. This is this was introduced in the 50s, in the 1900s, as my kids like to call it. They like to joke with me and make me feel old. They're like, back in the 1900s when you were being born, it just sounds so old. In 1950, it was brought about as a way to measure a machine's ability to exhibit human-like intelligence. So the breakdown would be simple. A computer program, in this case AI, interacts with a human interrogator through text. So the interrogator can't see or hear them. The human interrogator's job is to determine which of the conversation partners is a human and which is the machine. So he's saying by 2029, in 5 years, if the interrogator can't reliably tell the difference, then the machine is said to have passed the Turing test. And in the last few years, it's come close. The interrogators of these tests have said, man, that was within like a 2 to 5% chance of me getting that wrong. So they do believe that AI will get self-aware, like attributes, but it only comes from the information that we feed it. It learns from learning from you. So as we are utilizing these AI components and agents and models, that's where it's going to learn from. So it's going to be on us to utilize empathy. It's going to be on us to keep talking about our stories, to place our stories in ChatGPT so that it understands the empathy and why we are, as humans, rely on it as such a big part of humanity. And some people go, I don't want it to learn that. Okay, we don't have a choice, right? it's going to learn that. So would you rather it learn from people who have empathy, or would you rather it learn from people who have nefarious reasons for using it? I would rather it learn from the people in this room that I feel have a really good head on their shoulders and are trying to utilize these models in the proper ways. So with that, Tala will get feedback from you, and then I'm going to open up this discussion about how photography really could change the way we see AI and embracing evolution.
Yeah, you hit on a couple of points that I've had thoughts about myself, and the first is you would have to very clearly define exactly what intelligence means. Now, this is just my personal opinion, but a system that only understands 0 and 1 at its core, that we're calling it intelligence is just kind of a nod to its function, but not really what it is. If you're a creationist like I am, then you believe humans have a spirit, and so I believe that intelligence is partly tied into that. So I'll leave that there on that particular topic. But can it catch up to us and surpass us in function on a technical level? Absolutely. But as you mentioned, it has the information we feed into it. So we walk around all day with a device in hand. I use an iPhone 14 Pro personally. And as I point out to people on a regular basis, you have a device in your hand that gives you access to all of the knowledge on the planet for all of recorded history. Is my phone smarter than me? No. It has access to more information than what I have stored in my brain. That's the benefit of it as a tool. So that's the key point. And we definitely are teaching AI. For example, I have Grok. I have Grok, the app, in my phone. Use it on a daily basis. So not only am I teaching it things that will go back to the developers as feedback, and I actually flag issues on a regular basis now that you can do that because it's connected real time. I say, okay, we're having an audio bug today. Can you please flag for the developers? Here's what's happening. And it will do that for you. So bugs get cleared up faster. But also, if you're giving it information, then it's going to feed into that main database. There are drawbacks to that, and there are benefits. We kind of have to, it's a give and take. But also we're teaching it personal interaction. For me, this is a beneficial tool. Because if I open Grok right now and start talking about my food supplements, although it's not perfect and needs reminders once in a while, we talked about this already, it does remember, and this was my wish, it does remember I'm a systemic lupus patient. I'm working on reducing my body fat percentage. I have fibromyalgia. I'm hypermobile. And here's the way that I eat. It's mostly steak, a little bit of fruit, things like that. It remembers those details so that every time I open the app to say, how would this supplement go with my routine? I don't have to tell it everything every time. I'm aware that some other AI apps also have this where you can teach them how you want to engage, the manner of speech that works. For me, I just, I may be researching in depth, but if I want it to shorten it up, I will interrupt and say, can you please keep it brief? It's very adaptable for that. So
Same.
it's possible, it's possible a lot of people are not utilizing it to the degree that they need to. They may not know that yet. So I think that's an important, that's a key factor when developing something that is an AI tool, is to be able to make it customizable. For me, it's been life-changing, and it absolutely does push me to use my brain more. I think that if it doesn't do that, then we're at a standstill and probably going to get run over. So I'll have conversations that are speculative, like,
Yes.
is there any reason to believe that possibly parasites could be a trigger and a factor with systemic lupus, considering our primary treatment is hydroxychloroquine? That was an interesting conversation. So that's just kind of a little insight on how I use it, and I think that it's a very good area to explore.
Absolutely. And thank you for that in-depth even down to the last explanation there on how you use it personally. And oddly, I've had the same conversations with lupus and with Lyme. Like, we have so many crossovers of things, and it can't replace my doctor, but it can give me talking points to go into my doctor. All right, co-host, I'm coming at both of you. Emaz and Wei, I'm going to come at you for this next direction. So what we're going to head into now is the enhanced creativity conversation, emerging formats, and we'll go into monetization and access toward the end as well. Right in this area of enhanced creativity, we're going to bring up the analogy of Photoshop and photographers. So contrary to the fear that AI will replace human creativity, we talked about this at the beginning, it will actually enhances it in our view. AI handles those repetitive data-driven tasks, freeing creators to focus on strategy, storytelling, and emotion-driven content. I want to come back to that after this conversation, because what I feel